Welcome to Damsels in Dialogue, a podcast dedicated to female protagonists in fiction, film, and the stage, co-hosted by India Marie Paul
and Katie Zutter. For our fourth season, we take a deep dive into the leading ladies of the Golden Age musicals and discuss just how well these Hollywood and Broadway characters have aged.
This is the first of 2 episodes discussing Rodgers and Hammerstein's final collaboration, The Sound of Music. Join us as we dive into Liesl and her would-be stepmother, Elsa Shraeder.
Welcome to this part 1 of a very long episode. Because, I guess it would have been a very long episode had we done it all in one. So that's why we kind of chopped it in half, if you will.
For your listening pleasure.
Yes. I will say it is a plus in the Golden Age that we had so many options to pick from.
True.
For women in this show. Because there's quite a few... Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's more like little girls we're not going to be talking about, and like sisters that we're going to talk about. You know, there's a whole Abby.
Yes.
Abbess,
Mother
is
Abbess
a woman
of the Abbey.
Abbey.
Yes.
And there's a whole Abbey of people as well. Yeah. So in the scheme of things, this might be the most heavily female show we have talked about yet.
True.
Which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It is also the very, very tail end.
Yes.
Of the Golden Age.
Yes.
And there are a lot of differences in this musical that you will see immediately from others just because it is kind of
on their way out of
walking that line of not being in the Golden Age. But it's pretty iconic, so we thought we'd include it.
Yeah, it's super iconic, and I think the film was even more iconic than the actual musical. And the film was later on, but like it all comes down into The Sound of Music. It's still heavily produced. Maybe it's because it has a whole bunch of children for schools to do it. But it's also, I think, our only Rodgers and Hammerstein. And they kind of ruled.
Yes, we did that on purpose. Yes. We decided we only wanted to do one because there is so many. And there were some that we didn't like. We can talk about that in After Hours.
Yes.
And there were others that we were like, this is fun. But you know what? We thought this one might be the best. And we would get the most out of it. Discussion-wise, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we'll jump right in. I think a lot of people know that this family, it's based on a real family.
Yes.
The Von Trapps, the Trapp family singers.
Yes, the Von Trapp family singers.
Specifically from the memoir written by Maria Von Trapp, the Trapp family singers. Like, I think that might be the title.
It's something like that because they also like alternated. They had 2 different names.
Oh, that's right.
As well, but they're almost the same.
Yeah. They're all like 5 books, I think.
It's like, it's like a variation of Von Trapp and singers.
Yeah.
You know, and because their first tour, they were one thing, and then they toured again. They decided to be something else. But they did rename almost all the children, but they kept Maria's name the same in the play.
Yep.
So, and obviously we will be talking about her in one of these episodes.
Yes. Stick around, find out. Or I'll just tell you because we're going to jump into the Baroness. This is actually one of, I think, the only one we're doing that both of us have been in.
Yes, it is. This also, yes. We have both been in separate, not the same time, not the same place.
Never.
Not the same bad time, but same bad place. But yes, this musical we have both been in, and we thought it'd be really fun to start us off for the first half of this 2-part special that we talk about the characters that we got to play.
Yes.
In this first one. And then we'll get into the meat and bones of Maria in the next one.
Yes.
So we will both be talking about characters that we personally have played in the show.
Yeah, so I got to play Elsa Shraeder, Baroness Elsa Shraeder, and I really enjoyed playing her. I will. She's not as big of a bitch in the musical as she is expertly played in the movie.
They play her up in the movie a lot, I feel.
Yeah. And I was really surprised because I saw the movie, I did it in high school. I always had thought of her as being like the evil character. Like she's the one you're not supposed to like. And then I got the script and I'm like, the musical itself is really not.
That's so weird because I never caught that. I never thought she was evil. No, even because I watched this movie as a child on VHS with the intermission because you had to switch. There was 2 VHSs for it. And there was an intermission. I mean, it was huge. So, because that was when, after the Golden Age, they started making these really long musical movies that would have to have the intermission. It was cool. Love that they included everything, unlike now where they try to like shove it into what everybody else likes. But it is quite long. But even as a child, I just was like I knew she was interested in him.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, she's the worst. It just was like, oh, this is like a very different option for him. Like a very
that's very mature of you. That's like
because it reads Jane Eyre to me. It doesn't fair. Like watching it. It didn't seem like, oh, she's the bitch. It seemed like, you know, when you look at Rochester and like he could go for this beautiful, well-adjusted, high society woman.
Yes.
Or the nanny upstairs, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what kind of felt like to me. Because also that character too isn't super like villainous. She's just, they definitely play up a little more of the sass.
They do. And
with Elsa's character.
Yeah. And I'll talk about
but still.
Eleanor Parker's is stunning. Like rewatching her version of the Baroness is just absolutely stunning. But I'll get into that. The actual Baroness is based on a real person. It is Princess Yvonne.
I love that she was a princess. I'm bummed that she was demoted.
Like, why would you not make her super? You know why?
Like that's so much better.
Because if they said Princess Elsa Shraeder, no kid would not want him to marry a princess.
You know what? Like, that is a valid point.
Like Baroness, who cares what that is? But like, you could marry a princess. You could all be princes. Yeah, yes. I feel like that title would have definitely made you vote for her.
Right.
So it was Princess Yvonne. There's not a lot of information on her. And the only information we get of her is from Maria Von Trapp, the real one.
That's so interesting.
So it's so one-sided and judgmental that who actually knows?
So maybe that's why she is portrayed like that, especially in the film. Because it truly is from the side of Maria.
So you can't find a lot of information. They believe she was a minor German or Austrian nobility. The actual daughter, Agatha von Trapp, believed her to be one of her actual mother's cousins. So there's like rumor that maybe she's like in the family somewhere. I don't know. So there's like, it's just a mystery. It's Princess Yvonne. That's all. That's what it is.
And this isn't someone they picked. This is like a real person who really wanted Daddy Von Trapp.
Yes.
I will try not to say that again, but I probably will. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I will adopt it because it's funny. But so she's described by Maria, like she's portrayed in these books. That's how we get to know she's a real person. That's what Maria Von Trapp paints her as cool and almost pointlessly, like to the point of coldness. Despite the children calling her aunt, there was no warmth from her, is how she's described. Maria reveals that during their first conversation, once their engagement was formalized with the father, because she did like get engaged, like there's all of that, and that there was the understanding that the kids were supposed to be sent off to boarding school. So that is taken from reality, that idea that they would go to boarding school, which isn't in the Broadway musical, but it's in the film. So it was during that conversation that she was having with Princess Yvonne that she reveals to Maria Captain Von Trapp is in love with her. So like that thing happened where like Yvonne knew that there was like some tension. So there's some tension.
Right.
That's real. That whole like drama existed according to the real Maria Von Trapp. So she did go like back to the Abbey, and then the sudden removal might have stirred the captain's affections for her, and Princess Yvonne convinced Maria to stay at least until the wedding to start off the school term. There is some drama in that she wanted to go, and then Princess Yvonne convinced her to stay at least before the school term. But Maria treated the captain quite coldly. Like this drama, like she was trying very hard to separate herself from him because they were engaged. So in reality, there wasn't like, and she does do that in the film. So while this result, because Maria treated the captain so poorly, in reality, he had to confront his feelings when he was visiting Princess Yvonne, and he broke things off because he realized like there was something wrong, and then he realized that he was upset by it, and then he went to go visit Princess Yvonne, and we're through. So that was all the fun drama of that. Didn't happen at all like that in the play, but like that's So
gotta raise up the stakes on the stage,
right?
you know?
Well, that's like, I feel like this is more dramatic than, it's fine. I feel like drama was happening in reality. So Princess Yvonne was apparently outraged to have lost her prospective husband and telephoned everyone she knew that night and told them that Von Trapp had gotten the 21-year-old Maria pregnant out of wedlock.
What a drama queen. I see why that was not included in the show.
Yeah, I don't know
too
if
much
that
tea,
like,
too much drama.
Yeah, but like fun drama for us.
Oh my gosh.
So she was pissed, called everyone like, oh my God, Maria's pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so apparently, according to Maria,
petty beesh.
Oh my God, I know. The princess has apparently rejected Von Trapp's proposals years before Maria was even in the so there's also extra drama there. Things happened differently when he came back, but that doesn't involve Princess Yvonne. So there's that little extra tea with her, but also we get like, I don't know. I just feel so weird that the only version of who she was is through Maria, that it feels tainted in a way. Like,
oh, for sure.
If she did call people and tell her she's pregnant, like obviously like not a great move.
She's not the best. But also, does every big prominent woman need to be flawless?
No.
You know, like definitely we can see this is through Maria's eyes, you know?
And let's put ourselves in like Princess Yvonne's shoes, right?
Yeah.
So you're in love with this guy, like going to boarding school, not an unusual thing, especially for any kind of like nobility, any kind of like super common. So like not.
He also has a bunch of children. He has like it's not like there's like one or two. That's like a lot of children he has.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take on. So of course she's like, maybe we start slow, you know? Right?
Yeah.
So she likes this guy, could like his family. Boarding school doesn't mean she doesn't like them. And then
just
all of a
that's what you
sudden,
do.
He breaks up with her because he likes the name. Like that, I would be pissed too.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Not the most elegant way to deal with said breakup, but I can't be mad.
Well, in that time period too, like before that Second World War really strangled everybody, like the hierarchy of royalty was still very much a thing. Like,
and he turned down a princess.
Exactly. So that's not just like a scorned ex-lover. It's like you are going against the hierarchy of what the country is built on. Like,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I couldn't really be like that mad at her.
Right. But for someone who's way younger, who's supposed to be like, Maria's not a nun, but like is supposed to become a nun after this little stint. Oh yeah, that's a lot. I'd be Superman.
So
upset.
So Princess Yvonne, that's all we get of her. That's the whole backstory to her. There's not much about her development in the musicals, like as it was developed. Really, in the musical, I found her to be. I mean, she was the comedic side subplot because there's like 3 plots. There's
a lot.
Like usually there's 2 and there's like 3.
No, and this one has a ton, and it's also like it all flows pretty well together, which I will say for them, like having 3 plots, having just talked about the past 3 movie musicals and regular musicals we've talked about. It's like just absurdity.
Yep.
Like the subplot is like literally a joke. Like, so, and for this to be like, yes, there's comedy in it, but they're pretty deep plots that come to fruition. Yeah. Like have like a full arc.
Yeah. And she, in the musical, because they are very different Elsas, like in the musical, she is the comedic relief with Max. They're paired as the comedic couple because they have 2 songs that I at least got to sing, which was great. They didn't cut it from the show because I wouldn't let them.
Yeah,
like, I'm singing these songs.
I got this wrong. Let me do it.
The only ones he get. And they cut, so it's No Way to Stop It and How Can Love Survive? And How Can Love Survive is definitely like we're rich. Oh, how are we going to be in love? We have so much money. Like it's just a funny little number with her and Max. And it actually makes Elsa very charming in like a disgustingly rich way, which is why they actually chose to cut the 2 songs because they didn't want people to like her.
Oh, that is very interesting.
Because it is like the biggest thing with the musical that I enjoyed more but I understand why they upped the drama in the film, is that so the How Can Love Survive foreshadows the end of the relationship, because Captain Von Trapp doesn't really join in the number. They reinforce the themes in the movie of music being salvation, because the two people who don't end up saving them like don't end up singing, all of that good stuff. But No Way to Stop It is where the breakup actually happens. So No Way to Stop It is comedic still. It's all bouncy and fun. But it's
but it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's really like it's a really beautiful way for them to realize they're not right for each other, because they like in the musical, Elsa and the captain realize they're not meant to be on their own without Maria's tension, because you have this number where Elsa is saying like, let's let it happen, it's not going to really affect us, like just let the Germans come in, just keep your head down and keep going, like let's like let it, like, we can't do anything about it, so like let's keep going. Which for her, like, she would lose so like everything, like she in the musical is the president of an estate. I just went, oh my god, like boss bitch, like she runs an estate, is not about to give that up when they're married, like has a whole life. Love that for her. Which they don't ever mention in the movie, but it's fine, so like she would lose too much, and it's, as a woman, like you have to marry to get out of that, if you get into a hole that deep. So I get why she feels that way, and Captain Von Trapp doesn't. He can't stand it. He can't let it happen, which is great on him. And then at the end of it, she says goodbye by saying something along the lines of like, you do something better here than in Vienna, your sunsets, I'm going to miss them. And then Maria comes in, and she didn't know Maria was back, so she's happy to see her. And when Maria congratulates them on their marriage, she's like, the kids were mistaken, and leaves and says goodbye. So like she, like they choose, before he knows Maria's back, they choose they're not right together. And I think that is so so mature. Yeah. And so peaceful.
Of course, because they're both so much older than Maria too.
Exactly.
Because also remember, we're seeing everything through like an early 20-year-old's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
like I just love that version of her in the musical, because when you get to, you turn up the heat in the drama in the film, for the drama.
And it's a different market at this point, because it's like over 10 years later.
Yes.
And now we are very much in an entirely different decade, where it's no longer that silly fun. Like I feel like Golden Age was like very much peak, we are going to the theater to forget our old problems and just laugh the night away. Yes. And this is not one of those shows.
No.
So it's definitely on the verge, because there are, like you said, their dramatic points are sung with some funny, and High on a Hill, a Lonely Goat Herd, like there's funny little numbers and bits to still like keep us in Golden Age era. But like it's dark. So I see why they made the choices.
Yeah.
Do I love that they made them? No.
Well, yeah, that's like, I get it. Like, I'm not mad, but like some things I'm a little disappointed. And like the musical premiered in 1959. It ran for 3 years. It was still very successful, won 5 Tony Awards. So it did great. Critics, not so much happy with it, but I don't know how much we need to get into that. That could be an after hours fun little bit. But for the movie Baroness, Grace Kelly was considered, but she had retired from acting and actually was, a princess of like Morocco or whatever she did, Monaco.
Oh my god, where she did for a hot second.
Yeah, she like married royalty or whatever.
Wild.
They cut the 2 songs because they thought they would find the Baroness too sympathetic if she sang. Right. And then she was played by Eleanor Parker, who had been working in Hollywood for decades. Like this woman has like Oscar nominations, worked on so many great things. She called herself, she says, I'm primarily a character actress. I portrayed so many diverse individuals on screen that my own personality has never emerged. Like she just plays so many fun, different characters. Nice. And she was best known for her Baroness role, which is both sad and like great that people at least know who she is.
Yes.
She was in an age of movies that isn't just as popular, but still got a lot of accolades.
Yeah.
Because she was older when she was in the film.
Of course, as she should have been.
Yeah.
The Baroness should be an established lady.
Exactly. And she's naturally like a brunette. Like she looks fabulous. She's like a dark, sultry brunette. And her son, talked about the fact that this was like what she was known for. And he said it was a lovely role and she was terrific in it, but it was hardly her greatest role. It was only in the last 10 years of her life that she became glad she had done the film. People of all ages know it.
Huh.
So, like, I think it was a little point of, like, I can understand
That's a bummer.
if that's what she's known for and she's done all these other things and been nominated for things. Like, I can understand how there was some, like,
absolutely
pain in that. They had this whole, they added the whole scene where she's in Maria's dressing room.
Yes.
Telling her, like, that's not how Maria finds out about her love of Captain Von Trapp in the musical. I think isn't Gretel the one that tells Maria?
I think you're right.
It's like Gretel
does
like Marta
a lot of, like,
Gretel.
Gretel's the youngest.
Yes.
I think they give a lot to the youngest and Marta's like the in-between. Like, what's that we can't give to Gretel because it's a little too old, but we don't want Liesl to say it because she's still in her snotty teen era.
Yep. Exactly. So I think it was either Marta or Gretel. It was one of the little ones that like randomly is like, but you love him or something.
Yeah.
And then she leaves.
You're right.
Brigitte. It's Brigitte.
Oh,
there it is.
Yes.
There it is. It's Brigitte Von Trapp because she's the one who's really smart.
Yes.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So
like
send them all to boarding school.
But I have to say that the Baroness in the movie, Eleanor does that scene so freaking well. The scene where she like tells her to go to the like have fun or good luck in the Abbey or whatever her beautiful line is. It's just like she looks
stunning.
So
powerful. I think she is something that does, I think, translate between the real person, regardless of whatever lens you're looking at it through. A princess, baroness, lone woman who's, if she's alone, then she's running the estate by herself, regardless if they say it or not.
Yep.
On her own during this time where it's still wishy-washy if you can do things by yourself as a woman. You know, like that comes with so much power that you need to show to others.
Yeah.
And so much force to prove yourself. And I think in every iteration, that is done at bare minimum, which I'm glad for because that's awesome.
It is. And I will say rewatching the movie, because it's been a while, I actually saw the stage version of it a couple years ago. And now they add in a couple of the new songs and stuff. So it's like a mix of the old and the new with the revised in like 98 or something.
Yeah.
But I saw that a couple of years. I'm like, I haven't seen the movie in forever. So the banter between the Baroness and Georg is written fantastically.
It's really fun.
It's great.
Like, I can't forget the scene where they're out on that like weird patio thing. It's a blast. It's delivered so well between all of them. Like literally as a kid, I did not understand what was happening because it was so, not in a bad way, but because it was like so fast paced, quick. I couldn't tell that they were quipping back and forth to each other. I just was like, wow, what a cool adult conversation they're having. Like, you know? And like as an adult, I'm like, all right, this is written real well, guys.
It was like, I was impressed. I forgot.
And delivered well.
It was. And like, it made me look at them like, oh, I see. I understand why you fell in love when you were away. Like, I understand how you two, like, they actually get along really, really great.
Oh, yeah.
And he says that she was his savior after his wife's death. Like, there's some things that I'm like, oh, she doesn't ever, like, the only thing she says is the boarding school line, but she's, like, trying. I think she could care for them. She's agreed to marry this man with 7 children.
Right.
Like, she's not, like, as a kid, I remember her being the wrong one. Not necessarily the villain, but, like, the wrong one. And as an adult, I'm like, I get why they're not supposed to be together, but like it would have been okay.
I don't know. I don't think it would have worked very well.
Okay. I don't think the kids would have had as fun of a time, but I think Georg.
But that's part of the whole thing. Cause like that's his family. That's his kids. That's his whole life. And if he couldn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I don't think they should have ended up together.
No, they should not have.
I don't think that.
It would have been rough and his kids might not have liked him and they would probably have died. To be honest, they would not have survived the war.
That's very true.
So to be like super blunt.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I like the musical because they cut like that part of their relationship comes up more than the kids in the musical, like, which isn't like, I
But
get
even
why
then,
they
the kids
changed
is
it.
the most important for him.
Which is why
it's not,
the shifting of it makes sense. But I will say they did a good job not making her a total villain. You just see that it's not clicking. When she's trying to play ball with them, and they're like so awkward when they go up and like kiss her face.
And she like kind of tries, it's not like, you know that she's not going to be good with kids. Yeah. Because that's not her thing. Thank goodness they're older, because my goodness, can you imagine if they were all like, if the youngest was in diapers, like, holy crap, she would have been out. Which, like, get a girl. Yeah. You don't need to have kids if you don't want to.
Like, that's your choice. That's your choice.
Yeah. But I love that something that I really liked about that scene, before we go on from it, and their banter and everything. And you had made a great point if you see how they got together when they were abroad and alone without kids. And I think that's part of that. They have really, really great chemistry as people, whether or not it is romantic or whether or not it is something that can make a relationship that it stand on if it's only chemistry, which it sounds like that's two different medias. It sounds like the musical is more, we can't sit on this chair with one leg being chemistry. It's got to be, we need more than that. And our values are totally different. Like family things are totally different. Whereas the movie, you don't get to see that kind of conversation. So it is a little more,
it's more based around that drama, which is totally fair. It makes it more concise, but not the same. It's not the same. And in the musical, she's the one who wants the kids to sing to everyone at the party. She's the one who's like, please let them sing the way that they sang for me last night. And then in the movie, you see her like, the facial acting of Eleanor Parker is just stunning. And I'll keep saying that because it's true. Because I was focused on her as I was watching. Yeah. And when she's at the party, she's like, kind of like looking at everyone a little embarrassed, being like, is everyone okay with this? Or all my rich friends, like, are they liking this? Is this something I need to apologize for? Like,
which is so relatable. Yeah. And like, I do kids entertainment for parties. That's what's sponsoring this season. But that is what you will see, especially in bigger parties, not like small family ones. Small family ones, you're a little more comfortable. Like if at your kid's party, if your sister needs water, she'll just get herself, like, in your house. Yeah. But when you have these big parties, it's almost as much, oh my gosh, are they all having as much fun as they can? Are they all, is everyone safe? Is everyone having fun? Is my kid having fun? Is everyone having fun? Like it's a stressful thing to do. So that was it makes her very relatable, which I know was not the intention, but of the movie. Like,
it makes her a complete person. She is a complete character.
Oh, for sure.
Then, I will say in the movie, she's fleshed out a lot more as a character as a whole, whereas in the musical, her dialogue is minimal and she sings and it's more like campy fun. True. So like you still get a decently composed human being. You know what she does with her life. You know what she wants. Like you get that. She doesn't change. She's not, like, that's the whole point. The point is that she doesn't change. Yeah, it's not about her.
She doesn't have to.
Exactly.
If anything, I like that similar to how we spoke about the main character in Kiss Me Kate, of like, there's something really satisfying about a strong woman deciding what she wants and sticking to her guns.
Yep. Which is why. So that's why I like the musical version of her better. But
yeah, for sure. I would agree with that.
I will say the scene of the breakup is incredibly well written. On the balcony, her spouting, like she is trying so hard to make this wedding work. Yep. And then when she realizes he's finally realized what's happening, she's the one who says, don't say anything. This isn't working out. Like she doesn't let him break up with her. Which I find, and like she's on the verge of like tears and like putting like and isn't bitter about it. The movie version of that breakup, I don't believe they'll be friends after. In the musical, I think believe it'd be hard. Will. Yeah, I think it's too hard.
I agree.
It's too hard in the movie version,
which would suck. I think they needed each other for a time. Yeah. And it is fine to be that, it is fine for paths to cross and paths to stray, but it would suck for him not to ever talk to her again.
Yeah.
If she was that close to him for so long,
Yeah. And that's what, as much as it's a brilliant scene, and Eleanor Parker, man, she should have gotten an Oscar nom for that. Like it was great. I like rewatch that if you ever need to, because it's stunning.
Because the movie got Oscar noms.
Yes,
quite a few.
It was one of the few musicals who's both won a Tony for Best Musical and an Oscar for Best Picture. So it's
a bummer she wasn't nominated since it was.
I think Mother Abbess got the Oscar.
Oh, okay, I get it.
So I think the supporting one went to her instead of Eleanor Parker.
Climb every mountain and all that stuff. I get it. Let's
go climb the mountain. It's fine. It's fine.
But I don't know. Yeah. She kind of has more depth than
she does.
I love Abbess. Don't get me wrong. I think she's great.
Yeah.
I love the best part of the live. Never mind. I'll say that during. I'll tell you my best favorite part of the ABC Family live action remake that was questionable as they always are.
I didn't even watch it.
Yep. I will tell you all about that after. It was very questionable. Great. But what was your fun fact?
I think I had a Mother Abbess fun fact, but like I'll save that for after hours.
Just then never mind.
So yeah, never mind. I lied.
Can't wait to see you on after hours.
Yeah, have fun there. We'll have a lot of fun. I have lots of fun facts about this that have nothing to do with any of these people.
There's a lot, honestly. This show has a lot of stuff with it that is not just like, I mean, that's why there's so many books and so many articles and so many things about it. This is easily, I don't know about you, but when I was researching, I found the most content.
I'm like, I had to distill down and find the right articles just to get me distilled information. And a lot of it wasn't even like character specific, but now I have a lot of background about like the creating of the movie. And I'm like,
so much. There's so much about this. So it definitely was, like I said, iconic. So I guess with talking about Elsa and her, or Elsa.
Mm-hmm.
Elsa and her well-rounded character. What are those qualities? What are the qualities that make up her? Because I feel like we always kind of like end with some highs and lows of each character. Unless we're not done with her yet. And
I think we've come to like her end where she exits.
Okay.
And I think what I think is some of her strongest qualities are not changing who she is. Like she doesn't when she realizes what he is wanting, she doesn't try to be that.
No.
I think she doesn't have
She respects him.
Yes.
She respects that and gives her time to respect him.
Yeah.
Like in the movie where they have the whole I'm trying to play with you, but I'm bad at it situation. Yeah. If she didn't respect him and didn't care about him, she wouldn't do that. Because like you said, where's the time?
Yeah. Like she doesn't have time for any of that shit. Like she's like, you could tell that she wants something. In the musical, she's a little more focused on that. In the movie, I think the flaws that come out are her manipulation of getting Maria away. But I don't know, like at the end of the day, like she knows Maria doesn't want that either. Or shouldn't want that, quote unquote, because she wants to be a nun.
Exactly.
So like if she can like push it along, like she does it gracefully. One of my favorite lines is the like, can I help you pack? Like trying to help. It's like she does it so honestly, but like ooh.
And this is so random. I loved her outfits.
It's so beautiful.
Her costuming in the movie is so good.
It's just so good.
I haven't quite seen plays that have dressed her quite as fine as they have in that.
I wore a champagne 90s prom dress.
Nice. Beautiful, as you do in a high school production and you need a fancy dress.
Yep.
Gotta pull out the old prom dress that someone donated.
Like, exactly. And it worked. But I think her best qualities is being blunt and honest about what she wants and what she believes to be right and not faltering or changing for anyone else. Like I wrote this line down. I'm glad I did. One of the first things in the movie that she says to Maria is, "We are women. Let's not pretend when men don't notice us." Very blunt, blunt, like cut the crap.
Yep.
Like if you don't see this, then what are you, like you're blind. Right. Like and so I think she has a very directness to her that, I mean, Princess Yvonne, we're talking about the 1920s because it's set in a different decade. Like all this drama happened in like the 20s before like the thing. But
before
even
World War II.
Yes. before the thing. Because you guys were like, you know, it's a whole other like era to get into. Like
Truly.
the big thing. But I think even if you put it in the 38 when they said it in the show, like for her to be so confident in herself and say what she wants and say what she needs, like, I don't know. I think that's a really
I like it.
fascinating character and a good character to have in a musical. Even though she ends up being the not choice, she still exists.
And it gives dimension because like all of the women in this, they're all very different.
They're very different. Yeah. And her and Maria are like opposite sides of the spectrum. And I mean, yes, they have, I think, as far as having full agency, I do believe that most of the women have a decent amount of agency in this musical. Yeah. No one really tells them what to do in a way that which they can't say no, or they do it anyway. You know, like it's
right. You, even down to the children, where the children, like, they listen to dad, but sometimes they don't because they're disappointed about who dad used to be and who dad is now. Yeah. You know, and then when Maria can tell them to the cows come home what to do, and then they don't listen to her until they grow to love her, you know, like even the littlest one where also, yes, they are told things to do, but there is no like massive, severe, crazy punishment for saying no. Like they still make their own choices and they're all very different. And that's really cool for this era.
Yeah. So I think that's my like,
I like it.
Yeah. She didn't have time to have too many flaws other than not being, that's the thing. It's not a flaw to not be motherly.
No. Not at all.
It's not a flaw to not be maternal. That's just what she's pinned as not being correct because of it.
Right.
So she's not really given a chance to show a lot of flaws.
No, she's just not right for him.
Exactly.
And for that family.
Yeah.
It's not that she is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I liked her. I liked playing her. And
how was playing her? Tell us a little about that for you.
It was hard because I was a freshman. So it was hard because I was just so young playing her, but what I loved playing a powerful independent character, and like I also had to force those two songs to happen because no one knew them, and so I felt like
it's in the play, so why wouldn't they do it?
Oh, I know.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Because I'm from a tiny town, and like
but we did the whole show.
Oh, did you do the two songs too?
Yeah, no, we did it. Yeah,
they're frequently cut.
No, the only times that the show we would cut things or move things around is if we had to cast somebody of not the appropriate age.
That's fair.
Then we would have to move it around because I did it with that was with the community theater.
Yeah.
Is if you had to do something for like, shoot, we need these older women are in these parts, but they say like kid slang, then they would like make up three little kid.
Nice.
Like,
yeah.
alley rats to like to take all the little kid lines. Yeah. You know, but no, we wouldn't cut like songs.
I'm glad that you kept those. I've heard of a couple of different productions that just like that.
No, you need those, especially with how deep this. It can't all ride on the 1:16 going on 17 song. Like it can't be the only
like
in the middle like fun thing.
I loved playing her. I loved feeling like when I walked in the room that I knew that I was the most important one. I appreciate it more now than I did then because I didn't know. Like I was just starting my theater journey at that point. Right. And I love now looking back getting to say those like the Vienna sunset line. I remember loving and being like, oh, this like I know that she's saying goodbye here. Like I know there's subtext. Like this is my first introduction into like real subtext. Yeah. You know? So I loved it. I loved getting to wear like the prettiest costumes that they could find, like the old prom dresses, and I got like the long like gloves. Yep. So I really thought it was fun, and then I also got to like let everyone else do most of the show.
That's amazing, because then you get to just relax.
Just like, relax. I'm out. When
the
I'm
finale,
out.
Don't need to be there. Goodbye.
I don't show up for forever.
Right, especially if you aren't double cast.
Yeah, I wasn't.
What a great role to be able to be like a supporting character with like minimum effort as far as being, you can like really hyper focus and stuff.
I didn't have any dance choreography.
Nope. Amazing. Amazing. Really,
I highly recommend
the role we all wish we had.
Highly recommend it because it's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. So did she age well?
I thought she aged very well. And I actually think that the Broadway musical version aged better.
I agree.
But I do think that the character itself, other than a few little like snips they put in to make her more a little like diggy, like I think it still aged pretty well. I think she feels like a woman that you could pick up and put into modern day and she would be the exact same.
Yes. Yes.
She would just be the same person.
Absolutely.
So I like that. Like she could just pop in and be like, "Oh, Baroness is here." Like,
yep.
Here we go.
Yep. And she's above him, isn't she too?
Oh yeah.
Like status. Like she's way above him.
Oh yeah. She has far more money. She like talked like in the movie. She's like, "Oh, I could buy you a villa for a honeymoon present, like in Italy, a villa in Italy or something." I was like, "Get
it, girlie."
Yeah, it's so good. I loved it. But yeah, so that's Elsa.
I love it.
Let's transition to who you got to play.
Yes.
Tell me about Liesl. I don't know that much about like the origins of Liesl.
There aren't any, which is why you don't know. So, as we will just like continue to talk about, the Von Trapp family is real. Their story is real, and this is, you know, the plays in every iteration after is based on Maria's story. Now, they decided to make the oldest, instead of it being the actual oldest, who's a boy, who I think they made him who the oldest boy is, the one who's right under. They didn't flip anybody. Liesl is not based on a human being. They did not use her character off of anybody. It's a made up name. The plot line is all made up. She is not. So I don't even want it. You can't say they flipped somebody because she didn't exist at all. So they kind of replaced, if you will, because she doesn't. Whereas the other kids all are for the kind of represented, but that's also why they like renamed them because they're children, as opposed to Maria. They kept the same. The same. So she is not based on anybody. So her entire plot, her entire thing is based on no real people, no real interaction. There was no Rolf. In fact, they did not have to escape anything. They did not escape the nuns. They literally had to walk over a fence in their backyard. Yep. And they were escaped. Then they made it. Yep. So definitely the movie dramatizes that ending a little bit more because you can. I will say because you can. In a movie, you can physically be at like multiple different places. Yeah. And like it's harder to do that.
They like took a train to Italy, which is way less dramatic than let's go through the hills. Like
there's a lot. There's a lot of things they can do in the film that you can't do on a stage as successfully. So I get it. So as they decided to throw in a whole nother plot line.
Yes. Another romantic plot line.
Yes, another romantic plot line. But this one did not end well for Liesl. Now, what Liesl's character does, as if you're looking at her from a plot device standpoint, is you are getting a relatable teenager. So you're hitting different ages that can relate to the show. You are getting a cute love story that is a little more akin to what the typical Golden Age musicals are. The side character is that like they're in love and it's so fun and they sing their love songs, you know, or they do their love dances as like was seen in White Christmas.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you get still that romantic interest subplot, but you also, through Liesl, I would argue more than anyone else in the show, you get a sense of what is happening in the world. Because that moment when Rolf turns on her is one of the most dramatic in the whole show.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Which is a little crazy to think about, but when you're watching because there's so many things happening in the show. Oh my gosh, there's so many things happening. There's a lot of things happening. Because you have everything we just talked about with Elsa, everything with that. You have Maria, who's not only falling in love with this guy that she's not supposed to be with and doesn't realize she's falling in love with, but also she's supposed to be a nun. Yep. Right, because she's supposed to be a nun. So she has to go back and do that, right? But maybe she won't because she's in love with him. But she kind of likes the kids too. She really wants the kids to like her, but like maybe they don't need to like her because she needs to go be a nun. But like she really wants them to like her. Yep. And she has to teach them right. But she also doesn't know how to live in this world. And then also you have Mr. Von Trapp, Daddy Von Trapp, where he's like, oh, my wife is dead, but also maybe, but I'm engaged, but also like Nazis, but also. Like there's like that he like subtly and same with Elsa, like make those references of like, oh, we're fine. We're going to stay here and it's going to be great. And you have that iconic scene like in the movie and stuff where they like put the flag on there and he like rips it up.
Yeah.
You know, you have his butler like outing him to everybody, but nothing is quite as dramatic. Like everything is a little subtle and it's not quite as dramatic until Rolf like makes a big turning point. And so to get to that drama, let's start at the very beginning.
Place to start.
So, Liesl has understandably the hardest time with Maria. Understandably, because she knew her mom the longest.
Yep.
She knew her the most. And she has had to kind of step up into that role of not parenting, but because she's at that awkward age where she's not old enough to be a parent, but she's also not young enough to be a child.
Yeah.
And then to lose a mom and their dad changed so abruptly, and she, better than anybody, knows the difference. That is so tough. So you see her sometimes, and obviously you hear how they can't keep a governess and they can't
Yeah.
And part of that is them acting out for attention. And she is very much doing that as well. I really love that you see moments of her being that awkward age that everyone is when you're in high school and you're expected to have your entire life planned out. At like 16, 17, 18. Like, okay, you have your college picked out. You'll have you know what you're going to go there for, your degree, so that you can get your job after. Like you literally make all these decisions when you're like 16 or 17.
Like,
no
one should be allowed to do that.
No, like the poor thing. So she's very much like, I think portrayed very accurately in both the musical and the movie of this really awkward. She does fully prank these other people to get them out of the house. And you can see that through how she treats Maria. But at the same time is very caring to her and like in some ways motherly to the younger of the siblings. And you see that throughout the play where she has some moments with them. And so I think that's done really, really well. And the only time, or the first time rather, that you see her truly shed that outer layer of like angsty teen, you know, because even when she's with her siblings, she's enjoying, she's having a blast, but she's like, it's like game planning. It's like either parenting them or she's like, we're gonna mess with Maria today. Kick out another one. Or find ways to get dad's attention without, I don't know if they know that's exactly what they're going for.
But they know that
they're acting out.
Yeah. But they know that if they don't have a governess, he has to come back and find a new one.
Yes.
So
yes. So exactly. So you get to see a lot of that throughout the start, but you see one of the big turning points, and you see that shedding of that outer harsh layer when she secretly meets Rolf outside, and this is also akin to many other plays we talked about, and even Oklahoma, where they sing this beautiful duet. And then they have a beautiful, there's a whole waltz number that's written as an entire separate song that they do a whole dance to. And it's a very iconic dance.
In the gazebo.
And it's so cute, you know, and they, and it's so innocent, this them talking to each other. And obviously they've met before. Obviously, when you see them and they've met, like this is a often occurrence, especially if dad's not around.
Oh yeah,
easily she can get away with it way more often. Dad's in and out of town all the time. And she's older than everybody else, so like she's not as worried for anybody else to notice. You know, everyone has their own issues with dad and the world and everything that's going on, and all the governesses and etc. So having those moments where that whole conversation they have leading up to singing. She's like, I don't really know. You know, I don't know. There's a lot. Like, you're so much older than me. And I'm not sure how it was intentionally written.
Yeah.
To be honest. Because reading it is so much different than like interpreting it.
Yeah.
Because essentially how it's written is she's, you know, it's this toying of, well, you're so much older. And he's like, oh, of course, I'll take care of you. I mean, you're 16 going on 17. I'm 17 going on 18. So much more mature.
So much more.
And I think at least how I've seen it done, how we've done it, and in the movie too, it seems like a very genuine, innocent, they're playing with this idea of them in the future. So you have this like partially, they kind of believe it because they're innocent little high schoolers.
Yeah.
You know, they're innocent. They're kids. They don't.
It's almost like playing house. Like let's picture like when you get to take care of me and like I like and it's not icky. Like it's not like I feel
not
like
at all.
she's not in control of it. Like I feel like it's very just like playful. And I think you can like I don't know how you got to interpret her, but I definitely think she can be interpreted as highly intelligent and knowing exactly what she's saying and like playing it up to get like him to respond the way she wants him to respond. And
right. They wouldn't have all of the issues with the governesses if she wasn't at the reins allowing it all to happen.
Yes.
You know, so even before we get to this. Yeah. So, but she's still a child.
She's still 16.
You know what I mean? She's still only 16. Yeah. So it's really fun to see this. And you see in the movie, it's kind of like her initiating the kiss, you know, which is really satisfying. I don't know. They're like, it's a really, really sweet, endearing moment. You get a break. You get a break from the drama of what's happening with Elsa and Daddy Von Trapp. I gotta stop saying it like that. But Mr. Von Trapp. Captain Von Trapp. Captain Von Trapp. Captain Daddy Von Trapp. And like all that stuff. And you have this like really fun mid-act one lightened moment. He's just as innocent as she is.
Yeah.
He says, I'm a whole year older, but it's definitely a play.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're both very sweet. They're not dumb. They're just innocent. And I don't think at any point are either of them written as dumb. I don't think any of the children, honestly, are written as...
I think they're very intelligent.
They all have intelligence to them. They're all just innocent and get more so as they get younger. And like a little more blunt as they get younger. You know? So, yeah. And them ending that scene, something I wanted to bring up, which is so silly. Mm-hmm. But something that happens in the movie that when I watched it as a child, I did understand.
Okay.
And when I became a teenager, I did understand. Because as a kid, you don't quite have that. You don't have those butterflies yet. You don't have that same reaction to things. Is after she kisses him and he takes his bike and runs off and they're all like, oh, we just did that. In a very, very endearing, very cute.
Yeah.
Very relatable, makes everyone laugh, like smile and like warms your heart. She stands out in the rain and just screams and shouts into the abyss.
Oh, it's so
and
sweet.
I really, really love that. That's too. Like kind of done in the musical.
Yeah, but you can't have like
not
a
really.
Like you don't get
it's
to see
not
her,
the
like,
same. No, it's not the same effect as like this. It's such a freeing moment of like she's done it. She feels so happy. You see the weight of like everything that she's been carrying as the oldest child and oldest daughter.
Yeah.
Just is gone because she got to kiss this boy that she's wanted to kiss for a while.
Yes.
Like, it's very freeing and very refreshing compared to the deeper plots in the show to have that moment. And that's the starting point where she runs in the house and she is absolutely soaking wet.
Yep.
And Maria does not question her.
Oh, it's so good. That's such a good start to that relationship.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, takes a little bit. It still takes a little warm up.
Yeah.
You know, she's still big sister. She's still been on her own for a while.
Yeah.
And also, when you think about it, she's very close to Maria's age.
She's super close to Maria's age.
Which is like a little weird. A little weird. But so that's also that kind of like there could be some threat of I'm the big sister.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need you. You're not even that much older than me. You know, like there's a lot that could be happening there. So for her to not question and just help her is that turning point for Liesl to be able to start that process of warming up to her. Which by the end, they're a happy, warm family and it is phenomenal. But it does take a bit. Now, we've seen that. We've seen Rolf. We've seen this really cute relationship that is very, very mutual.
Yes.
Very, very sweet, very innocent. Instead of it fading to black, it is very much a waltz. Not even like it is specifically a waltz.
Yes.
That they do this huge dance to, end with a kiss, runs off. like it's literally slated as he has to run off because he's so like flustered, which is like really endearing.
Yeah.
That is what the relationship is set up as.
Yeah.
That is how it's set up as. And that's really what you get. I mean, you get lots of subcontext of like, okay, obviously they've been talking for a while. They sent each other notes. There's all this stuff. Blah, blah, blah. But like,
yeah.
But that's what you see.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you see him later and he comes in to deliver the note, and the worst is, like, as a kid, I had no idea until like the words came out of his mouth. But like when he walks on, and anybody who's taken a singular history class and he's wearing the swastika armband, you're already like puckered in your seat. You're already like what is happening? Because you just saw him and he's a good, like, sweet boy who's in love with her.
Yeah.
Like, how did, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But he's also an innocent, naive boy, just like she
Easily
is.
influenced.
Of course. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Like,
so it's so powerful that he's the one we get to see first. Really.
Well, yeah. We get to see we hear about the invasion.
Yes.
We get to see it affect an innocent couple. In such a quick and harsh way that when you do set, like, having that beautiful gazebo is everything it needed to be, so that when he comes on, you, like, your heart is torn apart, and the reality of the war being there, not
is in your house. It's
there.
In your house.
Like, it's here and it's affecting you.
It's gut-wrenching, and you feel for her. Like, she's obviously upset.
Yeah.
A little fun fact. So when I did this show, because it was the community theater, we had pretty much all fairly accurate ages for all the kids in the show.
Great.
So the youngest was 6.
Nice.
She was very little. Her parents were in the show. One of her older siblings was in the show as well. So it's not like...
Yeah.
She was just like dropped out of rehearsals. Like everybody was there. But she was great. She did a great job. But what was really funny is Act 1, she was great. She loved Rolf. She loved the actor who played Rolf. Act 2, why are you so mean to her? And would like actively hit him. And we had to, like, every night, we're like, girl.
It's
pretend. It is pretend. And it was her Act 2 prep was to be on his legs because she was way too short to get anywhere near his torso. And be like, you are mean to my sister. I was like, I love that you were so in it. Once again, she was 6, so she was fully like
method actor.
This was because she's 6. Like, this is real for her.
Yeah.
So that was really funny. But yeah, we feel that too. We feel that too.
Yeah. We all wanted to beat up Rolf, let me tell you.
Yes. Because, like, you finally see, too, he comes back at a moment where, at least in Liesl's plot line, she has now grown accustomed to and is, dare I say, liking Maria.
Yeah.
And is starting to see the potential of her father being around more. And
her life is on the right track.
Yes, her life is coming together again. She's seeing her siblings that were all such different human beings and separating are all coming together again. There's music being brought back into the house. Like, so many things are coming together. They're not quite there yet, but they're on the way. And for him to come in with that armband, with a note about the regime, and to Heil Hitler in their dining room,
in their home,
and disrespect him and leave is like, it's a gut punch, and it turns. That's when the show really gets to that point where it turns. It is no longer a fun. A fun how to solve a problem like Maria. Now it's how did we not die? Like, you know?
It's an interesting, like, the whole show in itself is adjacent to the actual horrors of World War II. We are not anywhere near the most horrific parts of this war. It's at the beginning of it, and it's on the horizon. So we just get this, like, snippet of it, but, like, some of the most effective parts are Rolf and Liesl's relationship. Because it's the beginning of that horrible part of history.
Oh, for sure. And it's so interesting that
they're young.
They're young, they're innocent, and it's their plot. Like what they do. One of their plot devices is moving it along, not necessarily the main characters.
Yeah.
It's this little romance. Now, obviously the family does come together, so she still gets that. They come together really strongly. She can't see leaving without Maria. She's very close with her siblings. They all seem to be so much closer. And there are very minor comments about it. because they need to like get to the end of the show. So again, they don't like.
Yeah.
So it's like very.
It's
much,
a long movie. It's a long show.
It's a long show. Yeah. It's very like we're trying to be Sondheim here.
Yep.
So like I mean truly it's quite long, but still very fun, very enjoyable. So her life does kind of come together in the end because. She does get her priorities straight because even obviously she's bummed, obviously she's upset, she cries that Ralph is gone. But in the end, that innocent love saves them, at least, you know, in this movie where he sees her and they could be called out because the whole thing is they want Captain.
They want Captain Von
Trapp. They want Captain Von Trapp. Von Trapp because of his status prowess on the battlefield and everything. They want him. They want to recruit him for the Reich. So, and by recruit, I mean forcibly take him.
By take him, yes.
Yeah. Because he's saying no. Which, get it, my dude. Thank you so much. So they make this cover of, they're coming back for this one night to sing, and then they escape. Right? So another very powerful moment in this show that has nothing to do with the main characters is when they're leaving, and it's Ralph who catches them.
Oh, yes.
And that's like, that's almost worse than the first time. Like, this is probably one of the most like stressful moments in the entire show. Like, like the climax, if you will, of like
it's not
after this.
It's not a song. It's a scene.
It's this. It's this moment when they're escaping and they're about to escape, and you see him see her, and it's tense. And he makes the conscious choice with no lines, mind you. It's not like they have a full ass conversation. They don't. Yeah. He makes the choice to stall. Yeah. And hold them off for a little bit.
He just gives not enough chance. He doesn't go against his orders.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't do anything that could get him in trouble.
Yep. But he gives him a chance.
Yes. Which is like devastating. Devastating. What could have been had Hitler not been around. But and then they flee on this very long journey and they run up a hill at the end of the movie.
You know. They climb that mountain.
Right. So for her, what was really fun, well, here, first I'll talk about her as a character and then I'll talk about me being her. So for her, I think it's really, really cool. As for the rest of the women in this show, I would argue all of them, none of the women are flat, except for maybe some of the the group of nuns might be a little on the flat side outside of Abbess. Yes. But like all the kids have personalities. Yes. They all have little arcs, which is really cool. I do love that about this musical, that everyone is given depth. Nobody is just a straight stereotype. Yeah. And if they are given enough to play with, because you can kind of swing things a lot of different ways in a fun way that you can embellish. Yeah. And so not only do they all have depth, but Liesl is so relatable as this innocent in-between. And I would argue not only for teenagers, but for the not midlife crisis age, but not 20-year-olds, that awkward you're out of college, like late 20s, maybe even early 30s of like, you don't know what you're like, are you an adult? Like you're technically doing adult things, but like that age right where you're deciding to like get married and have kids. Yeah. You know, that feels very her as well. Yeah. Of you're just in between ages and you don't know what to do.
Like the precipice. You're on the precipice of something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that they included someone like that in a show that also does the majority of the heavy lifting of the world building. Yeah. Because we don't get very many, we haven't talked about almost any women that are on the precipice of something. Which we do, don't get me wrong, I love the established women that we've been talking about. We love them so much. Yeah. But this is just so different. It's such a different character, such a different character type that I think is really cool. I love that she is given flaws. Yeah. She has the innocence, which you could argue is not a flaw, but she also is, she's old enough to know that this is some of the stuff you're doing is ridiculous with your siblings to get rid of these governesses. Like, she's old enough that she could write her dad a letter
and be like, listen.
Yeah, she's old enough to do that. Yeah. But she's not. She's not doing that. She's instead like rallying with the children and, you know, her wanting to be at the parties and wanting to be part of the room.
I love that so much.
But need to be told to go to bed anyway. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's you have her caring for her siblings, her caring for her father, her missing her mother, her learning to love Maria. That whole arc is so beautiful with her understanding, because it's not like super explicitly said anything about replacing moms. That's not really something that I don't think they consider, because their mother is spoken so utterly highly of.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody believes for a second she can be replaced.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That's not the part of the tension of the
story.
No,
no, which I do appreciate as well, because that is a big
There's no
comparing
comparing of things. Yeah.
Right. They do use that as a plot tool in many other medias and stories. I don't know. It's really interesting that she is kind, she is caring, she is sassy, she is snarky, she is innocent, but she's smart and plays up on the innocent sometimes.
Yep.
But then wants to be an adult when she wants to be an adult. Yep. Like it's very, very well rounded, and I think very well written. Well, any other thoughts before I talk about how I
No, I
did
agree.
it?
I agree with you. I think she is well written, and it is interesting to think about the women we've talked about so far, because all of them have felt much older. Like, I don't think we've had a teenage ingenue yet.
No.
So this is our... No.
We've had younger girls.
Younger, yeah.
You know.
And we've had older. So, but but ingenue...
But not... No.
We haven't really had an ingenue yet. So I think it's an interesting thing to put in the middle of a world that is on the precipice of something so horrible for it to, she really is the one who gets, the whole family gets affected, but she as far as like her character arc and her character development gets most affected.
For
probably
sure.
her and Maria get the most change or affected from what happens in the story.
Yeah, I would agree.
But how did you get to
so
play?
Interesting.
Like, tell me about playing. What was it like?
This was so fun. To be honest, this is one of the most fun I've ever had in a show, because I was, in fact, 16 going on 17. And one of my best friends at the time, he was 17 going on 18. So we're still friends. I said that weird, but we're still friends. But at the time we were very close. And so for us to be 16 going on 17, 17 going on 18 was a wild time. She's so fun to play. She's on quite, like, the kids have a lot of stage time compared to other shows that have kids or other shows with like choruses and stuff. Yeah. So it was really fun to be able to do all that. It was fun to interact with kids that were younger than me as well, like being the oldest and finding that way. I am the oldest sibling in my family, and I'm also the oldest on my mom's side of cousins. So it was very...
You felt that way.
Yeah. I had a lot of things that were very just, I know this wouldn't have hit me as hard if it didn't all align so well in my life at this particular time.
Yeah.
But it was so fun, because I remember reading her and digging into her and trying to make her my own and relating to her so heavily because she is written so well, which is a lot to say from, this was written by two men.
Yeah. Well, yes.
So I thought that was really cool, because I too could kind of could see myself as like, oh yeah, I'm very innocent. And I'm 16 going on 17. You're so much older than me. You're 17 going on 18. I'll depend on you to like one of your best friends where he's a ridiculous human being. Like we're both just like awkward, ridiculous human beings was so funny. That's awesome. Because we could really play up that like silly, because it is like, I don't know anything.
That I'm naive. Like, okay.
Right. Yes.
Really? Okay.
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It was very fun. It was very fitting. We could play her. So like, as per your question earlier, we could play her a little older, not older, but like intelligent.
The version I saw a couple of years ago, I got to see a couple texts, and then I got to see the final. And during the process, there were moments where the Liesl was a little too knowing, where like played it like, I clearly am not naive at all, and it got weird. And I think it improved, like that adjusted, but like that take on it, I think it's easy to like mistake intelligence with maturity.
Yes,
for the character.
Yes, especially when you're that awkward middle age.
Yeah. It's a fine line between like, I know I'm clearly saying this to be like, oh, poor me, and like manipulating with the words, if that makes sense. It was just a weird, I'd never seen that take on it before. And I think it's just because it was 20-year-olds playing 16 and 17.
Right.
But like, I'm glad it shifted back to more innocent, but that for a couple times I saw, I went, "Oh,
that's not quite right."
Liesl's seen some stuff. I don't know that I like it.
Right. Yeah, and if she loses that innocence, it's like she is no longer a teenager.
Yeah,
and that's not a bad thing. Like teenagers having that innocence, it's, I don't know, it shouldn't be a bad thing at all, and it shouldn't be looked down upon because they don't. Like, you're not going to judge a toddler for not being able to eat food right. Like, why would you? Like, why? Why are you judging teenagers for not knowing how the world works yet? They're still figuring themselves out, you know? Heck, I'm still figuring myself out. Like,
oh God, yeah.
Leave them alone.
Leave them alone. Let them just dance in the gazebo in the rain.
Yes.
Like, did you get a gazebo? Like, did you have benches or any? Like, how did
we
you
did
do
have
the
benches?
Dance?
We did have benches. We danced around. His favorite part was the bike. He was given a bike.
Yeah, I saw one with just a bike rather than benches.
Oh no, it was a little scary because he would bike around and then like leave me.
Terrifying
and
on stage.
Yeah, it was a big stage and everything, but still scary. And the bike was very old. It was a very old, like donated bike.
Great.
And we were very most excited for all the kids. We're excited for like the little we got to put on the bike.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yes. Like, in fact, I have one of my gifts from the show is a model bike.
That's amazing.
Yes. The only thing we did a little different than normal, I shouldn't say normal, of different, like a bigger choice was we ran around the gazebo benches.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't rain.
No?
in there. Sorry. Didn't have the budget for that. Danced around. I have pretty heavy dance training and he not really. So he did great, but like it was a lot of like me doing a lot of stuff and him like allowing it to happen.
Spinning around,
if that makes sense. So, and how it ended was we did a dip.
Nice.
And he kissed me then.
Aww.
And then grabbed the bike, buzzed off, and Liesl ran over to and jumped on one of the benches and like shouted into the audience, like so as the excitement, right?
Yeah.
But doing the kiss was tough because he wanted to look really cool, as you do when you are a 17-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So he would take the dip like stupidly low, like very low. But then at the same moment when you're trying to kiss someone, when you're essentially going into a full lunge, rarely made it. I'm sure it looks fine from the audience, but then we leave the stage and he's like, "Oh, I missed." If that gives you any indication of our friendship. And that was like, lost for me today. I missed. But yeah, I had a blast doing that show. It's funny because the musical, I prefer Liesl. And when I watch the movie, I like Maria.
Really?
Yeah.
I can understand that.
I mean, I like Maria in the musical as well.
But she's... we'll talk about her in the next episode, but they changed the nature of Maria a little bit for film like definitely for I think the better. But yeah, I can understand that.
For the stage, I was like, not that she didn't do a great job, not that she was a phenomenal actor and did an awesome job being Liesl. But yeah, I'll talk about my Liesl nonsense from the live action ABC Family thing.
Yes.
In the after hours, my friends, because I don't want to tell you that now, because that would be silly. Yeah. I think as far as aging, she did great. Because you look at that and you're like, I mean, other than obviously we don't want the Nazis and your boyfriend to do that, but her as a character and human being, I could see that as a teenager today.
Well, yeah, and the fact that she's is it relatable for like a teenager to be impacted by some global phenomenon in some way? And it like force you to grow up a little bit before you're ready to?
Gosh.
What a concept.
Hello, Gen Z. How you feeling?
I know, I'm feeling it. So you guys gotta be horrible. Right? So yeah, like I mean, like, you get to see her moment of growing up. And being hit with something, I think, for like, if her death of her mom wasn't enough, and like dealing with all the drama, like that pushes you over the edge into like, you can have champagne now.
Yeah. We don't care about age restrictions now. You can have champagne.
Maybe next party you get champagne. Like, let's be real. I think it's fair.
I think she deserves it, honestly.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for listening to part 1 of our Sound of Music saga and diving into 2 very different ladies as we continue to a third equally as different lady.
Yes.
Man, I am loving all the women in this show.
I know.
Confident, but confident women. Well, one needs to hype herself up. But like she gets there. She gets there.
She's still herself. She doesn't like succumb to like his side because she wants to be with him or anything. Like chooses family over him. I think that's pretty good. I don't think that her and Elsa would get along.
No. I think if they stayed friends, Elsa would be the cool aunt, would get her champagne.
Oh, cool aunt. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like go stay in Vienna with her for a little bit.
Yes. Let me take you to the dress shops. Like I could see a really phenomenal friendship out of that.
I could see that too.
But I think as mom, that wouldn't have been fun for either of them.
No, I don't think either of them wanted that.
No. But them having like
I'm here for like Baroness aunt times. Like that's great. I like that fan fiction in my head. Fabulous.
I like it.
Thank you all for joining us, and join us for digging into the main woman of Sound of Music in our next part.
See you there.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Damsels in Dialogue. Next week, we continue our discussion on Rodgers and Hammerstein's The Sound of Music and try to solve a problem like Maria.
If you enjoyed what you heard today, you can help us reach even more listeners by subscribing to the podcast and leaving a rating or comment on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you are listening.
If you want to join us for even more discussions and opinions about The Sound of Music or any of our episodes, head over to our Patreon. There you can support the podcast and unlock an entire library of exclusive after-hour video podcasts with one arriving each month. You can also unlock research notes, bloopers, and more.
Follow us on social media and at our website on damselsindialogue.podbean.com. Until next time, this has been Damsels in Dialogue.
Have a nice day.
This podcast episode is sponsored by Royal Princess Parties, LLC, and is produced by Hello Out There Audio, part of Hello Out There Productions.